blinded by ambition, those consumed with vengeance. But here, they do not exist. Only winners and losers here. For here, the mighty. Garou, Mark of the Wolves.
Hey, what's up everybody? Justin here to review you one of the best fighting games of all time, Garou, Mark of the Wolves, or Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves for you English speakers out there. As indicated by both the Japanese and English titles, this is part of SNK's Fatal Fury series, or Garou Densetsu, originally created by Takashi Nishitani, who created the very first Street Fighter game. And after making Street Fighter, he immediately left Capcom for SNK and made Fatal Fury as what he considered to be his personal sequel to the very first original Street Fighter game. And he also played a large role in the development of the Neo Geo and other fighting games for SNK. And throughout the 90s, it received numerous sequels and spin-offs, and until recently, this was the last installment of Fatal Fury. And this game came out in 1999 in arcades, thus demonstrating Fatal Fury being a franchise that was largely exclusive to the 1990s decade. One of the best decades ever, by the way. And being a close second behind Shenmue, Mark of the Wolves was one of those games that I wanted a sequel of for the longest time. And upon making this video, its long anticipated sequel finally approaches its release, and I would like to celebrate it by revisiting this game that has stood the test of time for the last 25 years. Taking place 10 years after Real Bout Special, Southtown has a new crime boss and is hosting a new martial arts tournament. With the exception of an aged Terry Bogard, everybody else that is playable are original characters, but do pay homage to pre-existing characters due to some connections they have with them. The co-lead in this game is Rock Howard, Geese's son, who Terry adopted and trained after the events of Real Bout Special. In addition, Kim Kap-Won's sons, who were featured in previous materials and in the anime feature film as children, are now in their late teens and have their own distinguishing styles. Jae-hoon takes more after his father, while Dong-hwan adds more lightning and flair to his style. Hokuto Mara represents Andy and Mai as their star pupil, and Marco is meant to represent the Sakazakis and their Kyokugen style of karate. So, you're getting some of the new mixed with the old. Like many SNK fighters, this is more technical than Capcom's fighters. Nothing wrong with that, I'm just saying that's what makes this series more distinguishing. So it caters more to the hardcore fighting game fan than casual gamer. Due to its pace not being as fluid as a Capcom fighting game, you have to time yourself more effectively and efficiently. And considering the franchise dates back to Takashi Nishitani, who created the first game and the first Street Fighter game, if you've played both games, then you'll have a better understanding of how a little stiff this game can be. Not saying that's a negative, it just adds more to the challenge and learning curve, but requires a lot more patience. Since the game uses the 4-button layout, it is much more friendly with the Dreamcast, PlayStation, and Xbox controllers. However, it may be the controller I was playing with on my Dreamcast, but I did have some trouble pulling off super attacks in this game from time to time, but once I felt adjusted, it came to me more naturally. However, I'm the type of gamer that prefers playing fighting games on arcade controllers, so that felt much easier for me in many instances. The controls are generically the same as previous Fatal Fury games, and some of the characters correspond to pre-existing characters like I said before. If you know how to play as Ryo and Takuma from Art of Fighting and King of Fighters, then you have a general sense on how to play as Marco. Hell, he even has the Super Fireball attack and that rush attack. For Rock, he's a quicker and looser version of Geese, and has a badass version of the Raging Storm. And if you know how to play as Kim Kap-Won, then Jae-hoon and will be like he never left the game. For Terry, he has a new attack called the Buster Wolf, and many speculate it took inspiration from how he beat Mars in the Fatal Fury anime feature film.
Are you okay? KO!
The controls are pretty much like your typical fighter, but timing and pacing is a lot more technical from my perspective. you really have to know how to position yourself, and this is true for just about every fighting game, but I feel like Mark of the Wolves does a good job of emphasizing this because it's pretty easy to counter or get countered. The game on single player is hard, as SNK fighting games are notoriously known for, but in the event you lose and you choose to continue, you can either lower the difficulty, start the rematch with a full power gauge, or have your opponent's life bar at just a quarter life. Of course, you have the option of choosing none of the above. And some of the newer characters like Kane, Gato, and Griffin will be fresh challenges to take on both as a player and as an opponent. And during the interim between this game and City of Wolves, some characters from this game became selectable characters in other fighting games like Gato, Bijen, and Griffin became KOF characters, and Terry's design in this game was also adopted in future KOF games as well, and Raw Coward also became a selectable character in Capcom vs SNK 2. Another unique feature introduced to this game is Top. Upon selecting your character, or before a fight, you put the top bar within the first, third, middle third, or last third of your life bar, and depending on where it corresponds, it will activate as a power-up. Though the footage I'm providing is based on the Dreamcast version, it is still a true testament to the Neo Geo and VS hardware, which was supported until the mid-2000s, with its last game being a Samurai Showdown game in 2004. For a 1999 game, this game still has rad graphics, flashy animations, and gritty stage designs that takes us back to the original Fatal Fury games, which took place in the fictional world of Southtown. The music is very addictive and really gets you pumped up, and the sound effects give an appropriate impact, and I hope that the sequel can live up to this. By the time this review goes up, the long-awaited sequel will already be out. Playing this first version again, it brought me back to my youth and realized how much I loved fighting games back then. While I don't play as often as I used to back in my high school days, where I had all the time in the world, that 15-year-old inside me was smiling and also telling me what happened to me. I used to be pretty okay at this. But who would have thought that by 40 years old, something that I've been waiting for since I was 15 is finally coming out? I'm anticipating the next game to be much easier and would like to buy an arcade controller for my PS5, but controllers these days, most especially the arcade ones and racing ones, are fucking expensive. I'll see if I can get one of those USB converters to play one of my Saturn or Dreamcast arcade controllers on it instead. I'd probably be saving a lot more money that way. But what I hope for in another Fatal Fury installment are the inclusions of the villains from the movie, such as Laocorn and his henchmen. I'd love to see Shinichiro Miki and Matt Hill back in the role as well. I won't be surprised if it's a rights issue as to why those characters have not been featured yet, but I feel like longtime fans are long overdue for these characters to be featured in a Fatal Fury game, or maybe a King of Fighters one. But anyway, if you're a hardcore SNK fighting fan, this is without a doubt the best that the company has to offer.